I wanted to kind of start this based on what's been going on. Y'all, everybody, unless you're living under a rock, everybody knows what's been happening. You have the death of a man on live television, and you have police brutality, and you have something visceral that happened inside of people, and seeing this man die. Now, today what I'm going to talk about is not about that, but I'm going to use that to show you how to invoke change in your own life. All right, so what we're going to talk about is how you get change. So the first thing you got to understand, listen to me carefully. I'm not going to hoop and holler today like I do sometimes. I am going to tell you the ways you get change in your own life. And I'm going to use this, what's happened recently. So whenever you want to change, like I said, change, think of it like this. Change you and the world will follow. People behave towards you based on your behavior. Now I want you to think about what I'm about to say to you. Everybody who interacts with you based on your behavior. Now think about this, what I'm about to tell you. Okay, so you ever notice how people do what they do towards you based on what you do? So let me give you an example. Have you ever been around somebody and all of a sudden they've been one way their whole life, and all of a sudden they changed? Something in their life happened and they changed, okay? And then when they changed, you know what? You didn't know if it was real or not, but after a while, after you realized that their change was real, then you begin to change the way you interact with them. So hypothetically, let's say you've been around a person who was always friendly, who's always bubbly. Every time you see him, hey girl, hey guy, how you doing? Y'all been around people like that. Then all of a sudden, something happened in their life. And when it happened in their life, they changed their behavior. Now, after a while, you said, okay, all right, the first couple of times your interaction with them, you gave them a pass because, this traumatic thing has happened. But after a while, they keep acting sad. You're going to notice that your behavior, because you're used to them acting a certain way, bubbly, excited every time you see them. Now they're acting sad every time you see them. Your behavior towards them is going to change. And your behavior is going to change based on their behavior. So the first thing I got to tell you, you got to understand, people behave towards you based on the perception they have about you. That perception is created based on your behavior and your actions. Okay? So that's important to know, because everybody, if you're in a relationship, if you're out here dating people, people act towards you based on the behavior you exhibit, based on your actions. Okay? Because you think about it, you can get two people. One person's real mean, and people are like, I don't want to ask them nothing. I want to ask them anything because of their behavior. Then they get to you, and then they say, I'll ask you because of your behavior. You'll do it. You're willing to do it. You're willing to people please. So I ask. Now, when you change that behavior, people are forced to change. Listen to what I'm saying. They're forced to change because your behavior is different. Now I have to interact with the new behavior. Okay, we'll get somewhere. The protesters are out there, whether you agree with what they're doing or not. What Dr. Martin Luther King said something. He said, listen, rioting is the voice of the unheard. What they're saying is, you haven't changed based on my previous behavior. Okay, I get it. Now I have to do something different, whether it's good, bad, or ugly, to get your attention, to get you to change your behavior. Okay? Same thing's going to apply to you. I'm not going to tell you to go out and riot and loot. I'm not going to tell you that, but I'm going to show you how to do it using this. Now, the first thing in change is simply this. Whenever you want to have a change, if you want to have a change and you want to get a new relationship, you want to get anything in your life to happen, you have to have what I created. It's called a C moment. S-E-E. All change, the root of all change is a C moment. S-E-E. A C moment is a significant emotional event. A C moment is a significant emotional event. Here's what I'm saying. A C moment is a moment that creates so much emotion in you that you are forced to act differently. Okay? Our C moment, the C moment is when people witnessed on live television the death, the assassination of this gentleman. Okay? The assassination of this man. This man's life, we witnessed it viscerally. That moment was such a significant emotional event. It created so much emotion that people wanted to act differently. Now, get this. I want to break that down, and I don't want to break it. I don't want to keep it on so much of that going on, but I want to show you how to do it in your own life. So for me, my C moment. The C moment does not have to be big. It just has to be significant. It just has to create enough pain in you to do something different. My C moment, I never forget it. When I went on The Biggest Loser, y'all, my C moment was when I was on a plane coming back from a client. And I'll never forget this. It was like yesterday. I've told this story hundreds of times. But every time I did tell it, I feel the exact same emotions I felt when feel the exact same emotions I felt when on that day. So I was coming back on a plane. I used to speak around the country. I was traveling. I was making great money, but I had got up to over 400 and something pounds, and I was lying to myself. How many of us lie to ourselves? We tell ourselves story so that we can accept our behavior. And so that particular day, I never forget, I got on the plane. It was a small plane. It was one of those planes that had 2 seats on one side and one row of seats on the other side. And I got on the plane, y'all, and I was dressed, and I got on the plane. I was going home. I was tired. I had done what I was supposed to do. I was speaking. And I'll never forget it. I tried to buckle the seat belt. And when I first tried to buckle the seat belt, it wouldn't go. So I was like, okay, let me do what I always do. I inhale, and I buckled the seat belt. But this time, it would not go. So I was faced with a dilemma. And here's the dilemma. Do I call the flight attendant over and say, excuse me, miss, I need a belt extender? Or do I put my jacket over my lap and just roll like that? My next decision would change my life forever. I called her over. I said, okay, mama always told me to do the right thing. So I called her over. I said, excuse me, miss flight attendant, can I have a belt extender? And I said it really low, y'all, because the plane was tight. But I was like, can I get a belt extender? And she said, what you say? And I was thinking, oh, Lord, I know where this is going to go. I said, can I get a belt extender? She says, you need a belt extender? I said, and then it's like everyone heard her. Everyone on the plane heard her. They looked at me like, whoop. They looked at me like, who's the fat guy in row 5? Now, who was I fooling, y'all? I knew I was overweight. I knew it. But it was something about her saying it out loud. We know. And so, at that point, I'm angry. I'm hot. I'm so embarrassed. My emotions are just running all over the place. I am so embarrassed. And then I thought about it. And I said to myself, I said, wow. I said, I got one or two options. So she came by to give water. I was so mad. She didn't even look at me to give me water. Because I was like, don't look at me. But then I thought about it. My flight was 2 hours and 17 minutes. I'll never forget it. Longest 2 hours and 17 minutes in a while. I remember that. But during that flight, something happened. That was my C moment. It was so much emotion that I realized. So I said on the flight, I said, I don't ever want to feel like this again, ever. I said, so I've got to do something. So I asked myself a question. And I know how my brain works, and I know how the human mind works. Here I am motivating other people to change their lives because I'm good at it. But I couldn't motivate myself to change my own life. So I asked myself 3 questions. I said, number 1, how can I lose 100 pounds? I was very specific about goals because I understand the power of goals. The number 2, I said, how can I keep it off? Because not only do I get it off, but I've lost weight before, how can I keep it off? And the third thing is, how can I inspire people in the process? Whenever you ask your brain those three questions or any question, your reticular activating system looks for the answer. And long story short, I'm not going to go into what happened, but when I got back, I never forget it, my wife told me about The Biggest Loser. Because that when you begin to seek, everything comes into focus. Your brain will put before you everything you seek. It's always been there. The answers have always been there, but now you are acutely aware of them. I remember I used to say, then all of a sudden when I was on the computer that day, I decided I was going to change. I didn't care what happened. It became a must that I change. Not that I want to change, because a lot of you in a place where you dealt with bad relationships. You dealt with people in relationships. But now it's not I want to change. It's I must change. When you get to the point, it becomes a must. When I have to change. My very life depends on me changing. Then and only then you will change. So I got there. Long story short, once I became aware of it, all of a sudden my wife tells me about a friend of ours who's going to go on The Biggest Loser. And I said, The Biggest Loser, is that the show where they cry all the time? And I said, yeah. And then I applied. And y'all, I never wanted to be on a reality show. I never wanted to be on a reality show and tell people, 30 million people, my problems. But insanity is doing the same thing, expecting different results. And those young people out there, they feel like, I've got to do something different, or they're going to keep killing us. And so you might not like the way they're going about it. Okay? Some of them are wrong in their methodology. Yes, but they know that if I don't take a certain kind of action, I won't invoke change. Okay? And now what I'm going to do is show you how to do it in your own life. And y'all, change is the same thing. It's the same thing, y'all. You can invoke change. You don't have to be alone. You can invoke change. Your finances don't have to stay the same. You can invoke change. Your love life doesn't have to stay the same, but you got to be willing to change. You got to be willing to change. But the reasons people don't change, here's why they don't change. Here's why we don't change. Number one, the pain of changing is greater than the pain of staying the same. You associate so much pain to changing, you'd rather feel the pain, because this is the pain I know. This is the pain I know. I've grown to live with. I've learned to live with this. Okay? Then the pain, then the fear of the unknown. You don't know what's going to happen. If I change, if I don't change, I know what's going to happen if I don't change. I know what's going to happen if I don't change. And I can tolerate this. I can tolerate, because I've been tolerating for a long time. I can tolerate being alone. I know what it's like. All right? And then the last thing is fear of judgment. You worried about what everybody else going to say. And so what you do, you stay the same. Stay the same. And y'all, I say life is short. God gave us a finite amount of time. And when you came into this body and he said, you are a creator, you can create the destiny you choose. It's your choice. What did he say? Choose you this day who you'll serve. You get the choice. Choice is so powerful that the angels don't even have the power of choice, but he gave man the power of choice. You get to choose. You get to choose to change. You get to choose to stay the same. And so let's talk about how you change. The formula, the blueprint is the same. I guarantee you, y'all, this time it's different. I don't know. I've seen protests before. I was around when Rodney King got beat. Yo, but this time it's different. This time you got whites, blacks, Hispanics. They know viscerally what's going on is wrong. And they're willing to go no fear and say, I will put my life on the line for change. You got to be you're willing to put your life on the line. I'm not talking about the life of the threat of death, but I'm talking about put your life on the line. The life you live now, you got to put it out there and be willing to say, I'm willing to change. The only way you gain a life is if you lose a life. The only way you gain new life is if you're willing to lose your old life. The only way you gain a new relationship is if you're willing to lose the old relationships that kept limiting you. The old relationship that you keep around, the fools that you keep around and let him come around and hit it when he want to hit it. And then you just keep around because I just keep a little something because I'm used to that. But the truth is, y'all, you got to be willing to lose that life to gain a life. You got to be. And here's how you do it. Change. First thing you got to do when you want to change is you got to speak your intention. You got to put out there your intention. Here's what I mean. A lot of us don't know what we want. And I always say, I told the other day, I was working with a client and I said to myself, I knew what I want. Y'all, when we started, Milani and I started doing this coaching program, before I met Milani, I wrote down my intention. I spoke my intention. I knew what I want, exactly what I wanted. I wanted partners who had a certain skill set that was different than mine. She has that. I wanted a partner who was committed 100%, just like me, a workaholic, a grinder, just like me. I wrote it down. My intention, I knew exactly what I wanted. And then once I put it down, and the reason I spoke it to override my subconscious programming. Listen to me carefully. If you don't speak that what you want often, you will revert back to the programming you've been operating off of. And that programming you've been operating off of is the programming that's led you to where you are today. You have to speak it to override the programming. You have to speak it to override the programming. The second thing is you gotta stop hating and start relating. What do I mean by stop hating and start relating? Okay, watch this. I write this down because this is what I mean. You don't hate consciously. And what I mean by hate is, and start relating, start finding someone who is doing what you want to do. Find someone who is doing what it is you want to do. Okay? And when you find someone who's doing what it is you want to do, all right? Okay? And what I'm saying, either they're doing what you want to do, or they can help you do what it is you want to do. Find a coach. See, a lot of times in your family, those aren't the people because they don't know. How can you, if you want to make $1 million, why the hell you going to ask somebody who can't even pay their bills? Find someone who is doing that what you want to do. And when you find that person who is doing what you want to do, follow them. Reach out to them. Don't be afraid. Go where the people go who are doing what you want, who have what you desire. Go where they go. You'd be surprised that people like me want to share the advice. Because we get fulfillment out of helping people get that place, get there. Find the people who are doing what you want. Like in Milani and I, in our case, what we're doing right now, we're helping women find powerful relationships, get rid of baggage, get rid of limiting beliefs, get rid of all those things. And the last thing is the most important thing. You have to be willing to take action. Now I'm going to tell you the kind of action. And see, this is where people get missed because they don't understand it. Here's the thing. They don't understand what kind of action they need to take. There are 4 kinds of action. Not just taking action. There are 4 kinds of action. The first kind of action is you got to be willing to take urgent action. That means stop waiting, y'all. Stop waiting. Do it today. Don't wait till next week. Hell, ain't going to be no perfect time to do it. Don't wait till next week. Do it now. All right? That's the first thing. You quit waiting. Join the program that we got. Because you want a relationship, but you ain't willing to do the work. So you say, well, when God bring me my man, God ain't gonna bring you no man. You know what God said? He said, you do the work. I will bless the works of your hands, is what he said. Faith without works is dead. You got to do some work first. Second thing is imperfect action. I used to be the kind of person who was thinking, thinking that I'm going to do it when it's perfect. When I get a certain amount of money in the bank, when I get this, there is never going to be a perfect time. Anybody who started something, started Google or anything, YouTube, it was never perfect. They said, let's just start. Remember this, y'all. Done is better than perfect. Just start. Imperfect action is the best kind of action. The third kind of action is massive action. These kids out here, they're taking massive action, whether you agree with it or not. That's all you see about it. Think about it, y'all. It overshadowed COVID. It overshadowed. Ain't nobody talking about COVID. COVID out here still killing people. But this is so powerful. It's so big. This moment is so big. They're taking massive action. That's the catalyst for change. And the last thing, once you take those three kinds of action, you'll be able to take inspired action. Inspired action is the action that comes from the Spirit of God. Once you start walking down that path, God will inspire you. The inspired action is the last kind of action. I want you to do that today. Go to justask2020.com. Sign up because we're starting today. We're starting today. All right? Listen, y'all, I appreciate your time, your effort. I just wanted to come to you today because my heart has been heavy about this, but I want to use this moment that each person can change. It's all up to you. Change you, and the world will follow. I'm Ken Canion, the host of Love, Lust, and Lies, and I'm done.